Welcome tonight. The sea is calm, but it won't stay that way. Tonight, we step aboard not a merchant ship, not a fishing vessel, but a Roman warship, long, narrow, crowded, built not for comfort, but for conquest. You've likely heard of Roman legions, disciplined, relentless, marching across continents. But fewer know what it meant to serve beneath the deck of a Roman galley, to live among oars, ropes, salt, and silence, to row in time with a drum, to sleep on wood, to live each day with no sails, just sweat. This wasn't the Navy of glory. This was the Navy of labor. Let your mind drift now, back to the open waters of the Mediterranean, where a single command meant every man had to pull as one. Now imagine, you're one of them. On your first day aboard a While you wouldn't survive a day on a Roman warship, the sun is still low, the air smells like brine and tar, and your hands, already raw grip along wooden. You are one of hundreds rowers, stacked in tiers, some seated higher, some lower, but all bound to the same rhythm. You don't row at will. You row to the drum, 1 beat, 2 beats. Pull. Again. Again. There is no shade, no sail to carry you forward. The warship depends on your back, your arms, your silence. The benches are hard, the air thick with sweat, and the water in the jug, already warm. You have no shoes. Your feet grip the floorboards slick with seawater and old grime. Your tunic clings to your skin. The man beside you hasn't spoken all day. Neither have you. You aren't here to talk. You're here to move the ship. And it's not just rowing. You stop only when ordered. You eat only when allowed. A bowl of grain mash, maybe olives. Sometimes not even that. You rest beneath the deck, among coils of rope and barrels. It's dark, it's damp, it smells of wood, old fish, and mold. But you're too tired to care. When battle nears, you don't get armor. You keep rowing, faster. The deck above erupts with noise commands shouted in Latin. Soldiers stamping in formation, the thud of a catapult. You see none of it, but you feel the rhythm change, and you keep pulling, even as arrows hiss above, even as ships clash, even as bodies fall into the sea. Because if you stop, your ship stops, and a stopped ship is a dead one. You row not for Rome's glory, but to stay alive. At night, the sea cools, but there is no true rest, only stillness between orders. Your hands are blistered, your back aches, and your mind drifts. Not with dreams, but with the sound of waves lapping at the hull like a second heartbeat. You wonder how long you'll last. And you realize, the ship will keep moving whether you do or not. The admiral who defied Rome, not every man on a Roman warship held an oar. Some gave the orders, fewer still challenged the ones who ruled the sea. His name was Sextus Pompey, the son of Pompey the Great, a name once whispered with power, now spoken with hesitation. Sextus was not born a sailor, but exile has a way of changing men. After his father's defeat and Julius Caesar's rise, Sextus fled to the sea. He gathered ships, men, and made Sicily his fortress. He did not wait for battle. He became the sea's shadow. A pirate, a blockade, a rebel with a fleet. He cut off Rome's grain supply, starved the capital, and made himself, for a brief moment, the most feared man on water. He didn't row, but he lived on deck, a commander of oarsmen, archers, and iron rams. He held the Roman navy at bay for years, until Rome sent someone unexpected. A man named Agrippa. Agrippa didn't just fight him. He redesigned the fleet, built harbors, trained new crews with new tactics. In time, Sextus lost Sicily. Then his ships. Then his life. But the waves remembered him, and so did the rowers, who told stories of the admiral who dared to turn Rome's sea against itself. He was not a hero. He was not a villain. He was something rarer. A Roman who fought Rome, and nearly won. The sunken secrets of Roman naval power today. The surface of the Mediterranean is calm, but far below, Roman history rests in pieces. Not statues, not scrolls, but ships. Wood, iron, and rope, preserved by salt and silence. In the harbors of ancient Baia and Ostia, archaeologists have uncovered the wrecks of Roman vessels lost to storms, to fire, to battle. One such discovery was made near Antioch, where a Roman-era ship sank carrying bronze statues, and a mysterious device now known as the Antikythera mechanism. While likely Greek in origin, the ship and its cargo reveal how interconnected Rome's naval trade and intelligence had become. Other wrecks are simpler. Vessels stripped down to frames with rusted nails and forgotten ballast. Divers have found lead anchors, marked with legion symbols, helmets beneath layers of coral, and in some wrecks human remains curled near the hull, still in position, as though bracing for impact. Some of these rowers likely died not in war, but in routine. Caught in sudden storms, crushed under the weight of collapsing timbers, or sealed inside the hull as it filled with water. But even in death, they tell us things about the shape of the ship, the length of the oars, the size of the benches, and how brutally efficient Rome's maritime machine had become. These are not grand ruins. They're fragments. Orlocks' cooking pots, a length of rope still twisted the way a sailor last left it. Yet together they whisper, not of victory, but of exhaustion, of endless rowing, of the sea that gave Rome its reach, and eventually, its silence. The commanders who ate grapes while others rowed above the oars, above the sweat and strain. There was another life, the life of the Roman naval officer. He did not row, he did not sleep on wet boards, he did not blister his hands or strain against a drumbeat. He gave the orders. On a Roman warship, the triarch or naval commander had a private space, often at the stern, with a view of the whole crew. His gear was finer, his meals prepared, bread, dates, wine, and yes, sometimes grapes plucked from a traveling vine basket. He had a cloak, a waxed tablet, a stylus for writing messages, and a sword he rarely used himself. He was educated, often from the equestrian class, or a rising military family. He memorized commands, trained in the layout of enemy ships. He knew wind patterns, water depths, and the sound of wood under tension, but he did not suffer like his crew. He gave orders to row harder, even when the men below were already bleeding. He watched the battles unfold from above, as oars splintered and deckhands fell, and when the battle was won, he reported to the Senate, or the admiral, with calm efficiency. He may have stepped off the ship clean, his boots barely stained, but even he, in moments of solitude, might have looked below and wondered what it cost. Because Rome's greatest victories at sea were never earned by one man. They were pulled, inch by inch, by the many, and remembered by the few. Salt, silence, and survival. A Roman warship was more than wood and bronze. It was a machine, powered by pain, steered by command, and fed by silence. To live a day on board meant living by rhythm, not freedom. To serve on deck meant watching others labor while you calculated the wind. And to command a fleet meant understanding how much Rome demanded from those it called servants. Some rowers were free men, some were slaves. All were replaceable, but none were voiceless. Their lives echo still, in the shape of ships, in the bones beneath the sea, in the rusted rings found in ancient harbors. Tonight, as your body softens and your breathing slows, remember the rhythm of that unseen drum, the pull of the oar, the spray of salt, the stillness between battles. You wouldn't have lasted a day aboard, few did, but the ship sailed anyway, and now it drifts again. Quietly, in memory. Sleep well, with quiet history.